Hi, everyone. Welcome to Source Snack Break. I am Ren with Source, and today is Monday, July 20th. Before we get started, I'll tell you a couple things about the webinar tool. So you're all muted automatically, but you have access to the live chat there on the right. Arthur, I'm going to turn your mic off for just a second because we're getting a little feedback. So you all have access to the live chat, and you can pop in your favorite emoji to try it out. You can also use it to ask any questions. Arthur is an amazing resource, so be sure to ask questions and we'll answer any that you have. We'll also send you a recording of this webinar after the presentation, so you can check it out later or send it to a friend. Today, we have got one of my favorite people. This is Arthur with, okay. Arthur, you need to I've requested that you turn your mic back on. There we go.
I'm hitting yes.
You got it.
You guide me and I'll say yes.
So designers, we've done a little technology hack here where I am calling Arthur, but his video works. So here we are. Arthur, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about Pratt Larson?
Sure. Well, my background, I've been working, I started out, I went to school for design and interior architecture, but I very quickly after school, I started working for a stone and tile company in Southern California. And very early on, I just sort of fell in love with working with the product directly. So 30 years I've been doing that. I've worked in design, in showroom design, sales, both on the commercial and the residential side, over a decade in product development. And I've been working with Pratt Larson for just a little over 2 years. But a little caveat, I heard of Pratt Larson probably about 20 years ago, and always thought that one day I would work for them. And when the opportunity arose, I found an introduction to the owners, and we met for coffee, and then the rest is history. I've been happy working at Pratt ever since.
I love it. It's like fate.
Yeah, so it was on my path.
Yeah, exactly. So can you give us a history of Pratt Larson as a company and how it got founded here in Portland?
Yeah, so Pratt Larson founded in 1982, so almost 40 years ago. If I'm not looking at the camera, forgive me, I'm wandering. It was founded by a husband and wife team, Michael Pratt and Rita Larson. Their photographs are here in black and white. Those are photos from a long time ago. They were artisans. Michael was a ceramicist, potter, and his wife was a textile designer. And early on, they merged their creative ideas and thoughts and into a business. And it just continued to grow and to blossom. Now we're all locally manufactured. We're made here in Portland, Oregon, but we distribute all across the country, and we do some international projects as well. But we have only one company-owned showroom here in Portland. It kind of acts as our local showroom for the local design community, but we also use it as a conduit for our commercial projects and working out directly with architects and specifiers. The company, the founders, Michael and Rita, retired a few years ago in 2017. They were ready to retire after almost 40 years. And they looked at different companies that wanted to buy the brand, and they'd seen this happen to many companies like theirs. And they were, I know from the stories I heard from Michael, he was just absolutely reluctant to let it go and be dismantled and rebuilt into something else. Definitely viewing the future with, and opportunities, but I think he was worried that the character and the soul that made the brand so special might not survive in the wrong hands. So if you look at the bottom photograph, the more current picture is our new owners, Belle and Anthony. They are a couple. They are engaged to be married soon this year, but they have worked together at Pratt Larson. Their combined years at Pratt Larson are more than I've been on this earth, but they're both young and vibrant. Anthony worked for Pratt Larson for over 28 years. and worked mostly on the production side. Belle came on. She was actually a ceramicist. She's got a degree in ceramics. She started doing the ceramics work and some of the pottery work. And over the years, just kept expanding and moving. They both, I think, between them have worked in every department. So it's an extraordinary thing to have the owners be so hands-on, especially new owners who've taken over. So they've been here, again, Belle, I think, over 20 years and Anthony over 28. So we're in good hands. The difference is they understand who the brand was, where it came from, the soul of the brand, but they have a really keen eye for the future, for continuing to develop the brand in a kind of a continuous path to still be Pratt Larson. They've developed a little more contemporary designs, more kind of graphic and really innovative new techniques and textures, and they're constantly engaging. And we're actually in the process of some rebranding, which hopefully will make our brand a little more accessible and a little more fun. Some of the branding has happened already. Toward the end of the year, we're looking toward a whole new web launch as well. So
that's great.
Yeah.
One thing I want to mention for our designers is you are red list free, and you also domestically source your clay. Yep. And I see here that you have 100% clean energy.
Yeah, we convert. So sustainability is important. It always has been. It's definitely a material process that requires some, utilizing some resources that may not be as recycled or renewed. We work with raw clay, and that clay is, quarried and extracted. We work with domestic supply only. Sometimes that supply changes, but we have to be very controlled and very careful because the formula of the clay can totally affect the outcome of the product, both its durability and its kind of technical performance, but also its aesthetic. And that we may blend it. We work with a local brand here, Georgie's. They're kind of a famous tile and supply.
Literally down the street from me.
Literally down the street. But they make a proprietary blend of our clay, and it meets all of our kind of requirements for technical performance. We're a single clay factory. Our clay is a white clay. It doesn't look white until after we do the first firing, but it's a really durable and clean clay. Great technical properties, and it also, excuse me, the formulation of the clay, we've also worked, really to work on minimizing or making our energy that goes into production as efficient as possible. So it's a clay that we can get a high performance out with a low fire. This year, we switched over to 100% wind energy. So all of our electricity is wind supplied, which we're proud of, very proud of. We do still have some natural gas kilns, our bisque kilns, but it burns clean or cleaner than other resources. We've been really clear about being, red list free. We did have a few glazes that had, they were inert and perfectly fine for the consumer, but on the production side, they were not quite as clean. We had to manage them very carefully. We chose to make some changes, remove those so we could be 100% red list free for our product.
That's fabulous.
Yeah, so lots of good things and more to come. We're actually working really hard to eventually get to the B Corp status.
I love that.
Yeah, and we're on the path to do that, but it's a big project.
It takes a while.
It is. So. But that is a key focus of Belle and Anthony to get there as quickly as we can.
That's great to hear. Yeah. Can we talk a little bit for a couple minutes about how your tile is made? What does the process look like from conception of design all the way to bisque and then glaze?
Yeah. It's a long process. So we do everything is done in-house, from just concepting and design. So the design concept could come from different locations. A lot of it comes from Belle and from Anthony. And before then, it came from Michael and Rita. And it came from our team of artisans. We have a lot of artisans, both on the clay side that work to mold and shape and design our tile. We also have artisans on the painting side. We're a hand painting studio and a glaze studio. And every once in a while, an artist can always submit a concept. I could submit a concept if I had the time to focus and create something. And but we are always sharing ideas. When the concepting happens, an initial idea, then it goes into a phase of testing, because there are so many parts of the process that could affect the outcome. And we always have to just really engineer the product throughout the entire process. So if you look at the photographs on the right, the one just below, I think, Ren is, that's Maddie. She's one of our casting people. She does all of our mold making, but she's also a designer and an artist. She's actually working, I know that picture, she's working on a custom piece that was a really special small order for a homeowner who had lived in Montana and had fields of wildflowers and wanted us to recreate 8 individual tiles with local wildflowers. So Maddie worked on sketching, drawing, doing kind of really generic drawings based on some photographs and some designs that we received from the customer. Same process if we were doing it full in-house design. She played with the design a little bit, and then the first stage is she actually would mock it up in a molding clay. She'll make a molding clay model, she'll do a test cast on it, and we'll play back and forth and adjust it until the results are fine. Once you got the design really locked down and it's beautiful and fine, then you have to create a die for it or a mold that you can recreate that piece in actual clay. Then you fire that and you adjust it again if you have to. And it's good to go. Then it goes on to the next process. Whether we're just glazing it with a single color, you want to see how different types of glazes will work on that piece. It could affect the outcome. For something we're launching in-house, we'll go through really rigorous testing because we're launching it to the whole nation. You see the photograph just below, one of our sprayers. All our orders are hand sprayed. We're very precise about it, as much as you can be with hand spraying. We know how much gram weight of glaze goes on that tile, but we're not so precise that, like a major production factory where every square centimeter of tile is the exact amount of glaze. We know in a certain amount of tile how much glaze we want. We know also that we want some range. We want a little character, a little variation that's controlled by the hand of the artist, this guy that's the team member that's spraying it. It's within a defined range that we understand. Within that, I have to say, some orders will look a little bit different, just like die lots in other manufacturing. So it's important to get those orders right, but we do add-on orders and we get samples back and we will match them. And then the photograph just below, we're kind of skipping around in the process. Once the mold or the die is finalized, it goes into production. We have different types of production depending on the product. We have kind of a big extruder, almost like an old Play-Doh machine, where you can force through tons of pressure the clay through a shape or a mold. For most of our tile, we'll just use a long, thin mold, and we'll create a long slab of clay, and we can cut that into different shapes, different sizes.
Like a cookie cutter.
It's a cookie cutter. And we have a huge catalog of shapes and sizes. We can even apply texture to the surface of the tile. We have smooth tile, we have a rustic tile, we have a huge assortment of fabric textures, and we can create textures pretty easily, and we've done that sometimes with kind of larger volume custom projects. Another way we form tile, we kind of do 2 basic forming, is for the more decorative pieces where the tile has a very specific design that has to have a very clean and continuous repeat. Those have to be pressed one at a time. It is an extraordinarily labor-intensive process. That's Danielle on the bottom photograph pressing one deco tile that's about 5" by 10". The big round discs that press down, those are the dies or the molds that I was talking about. And you can see a close-up of that just under my picture. That's one design. There are different designs in the picture and the close-up, but it's the same concept. She'll press that piece. The tile will release, and she'll clean the edges by hand. She'll do a little counter bend because tile has memory when it's wet, and the pressure of that machine will actually make it warp and twist. So she has to know how much to manipulate that to get a nice, even, flat tile. The tile at that point then has to dry. It'll dry for anywhere from 1 to 3 days, depending on the complexity of the design, how thick the material is. And honestly, even our weather, it dries in a temperature controlled room. And then once it's dried enough to a stage where we know that most of the moisture is removed from it, it goes into the first firing process. We call it bisque firing. We fire that to basically turn the tile from a wet clay into a hard, solid piece. And at that point, it turns white and it's really solid. There's no color on it at that point. When that process is done, the tile goes to either our single glaze glazers. That's a photograph that you see there with the guys spraying the tile. Or it'll go to our hand painting studio. And we have, it depends on the tile. Some tiles just can't be hand painted. But some of our patterns and designs are designed to have more than one color applied. On the bottom left image, there's just an example of one. It was kind of a fun, simple, innovative for us, but a simple process where there's a little bit of an etched design in that particular tile. We spray a glaze over it, and then we hand rub it off with natural sponges. And then after that is cleaned, we put another glaze on top. And that's one of our color processes. We also do very fine hand painting as well.
That's amazing. So one thing I love about tile is that it is a very natural product, which means that there are a lot of that can happen. That conversation with your client about understanding that is really important.
Yeah, we need to be clear what the outcome of the product is. We try to be, we sell proudly our range and variation, but as a specifier, we know that you need to have assurances that what you see or what you expect to get is what you're going to get. So we communicate that pretty clearly, and we do have controls. We can tighten things. I got a little feedback, sorry. We can tighten those ranges sometimes, and we know the levers and the triggers to do that. And we also will sample. So often our clients will have an idea of a size, a shape, and a color, but it's not, the catalog is so huge, you want to actually see it. I'm doing some commercial projects now where it's a pretty large project, and we're doing pretty big sampling sets. We let the customer tell us what they need, and we will work to provide that.
Got it. So these are just a couple photos of some commercial projects.
Yeah, these are fun. We do lots of different types of commercial projects. Some of them are just one-offs where it's just for this one particular project. The Bumble headquarters over there, we actually did lots of different spaces for them, including a pink bathroom. Every tile is a hexagonal shape. And we did several bathrooms for them as well. On the right is a retail space from Hermes store in Miami, that mosaic. And you can see even in that image of the mosaic, it's all one color, but it's a color that has rich variation. And you can see as that kind of maps out, it creates a beautiful texture. And we manage that with you. But if you looked at individual pieces, some would be really light, some would be pretty dark.
That's great.
The bottom left is a pretty simple job, but we've done hundreds of Starbucks locations just to kind of show you we work on scale as well. And we were able to kind of consult with their team to do a project on a scale and at a price point that made sense for hundreds of retail locations.
That's great.
Yeah, and just we do restaurants and lots of retail spaces, public spaces. We've done, just lots of fun work.
I love it. Before we jump off, can you chat about this new series? Because it is super cool.
So as I said, Belle and Anthony are kind of looking to the future, and they're having a lot of fun. This was actually their first launch after they took ownership of the company. It's called Up Inline. And it's a simple graphic design concept. Basically, really simple. This is just a peek at it. You can't really in one slide see the complexity of what the design offers. It's a 3-inch by 6-inch size, and there are 12 different graphics that basically come in that. And those graphics either work individually or can be combined. One of the most popular designs is really just ordering all of them and doing the blend. So that blue shower on the left, and honestly, the green kind of backsplash on the bottom right, that's just picking every design, or maybe there was one edited out, but and doing them in a single glaze. And but we have a whole catalog of drawings that show that the lines on most of these designs will repeat even with a different design on, across tiles. And you could create really kind of simple graphics or kind of crazy graphics patterns. We can assist our clients with them. We have a little toolkit that our clients will just play with, like little cards that they make with it. And that the image on the top right with that sink, that's just another pattern. That's just one single design flipped back and forth, and the pattern it creates. We've also had some really fun patterns where we take plain field tile and integrate it with some of the designs. And honestly, that brings the price down a little bit because this is a little bit higher than our regular field.
I love it.
It's only in single color, but we have over 300 colors. Each of those glazes perform differently. So I often will just say, get some samples. An opaque gloss is, our solid white gloss is fairly opaque. It sometimes fills in the lines, but you basically see light and shadow. Some of our watercolors, crackle glazes, are really translucent, and it almost looks like you're underwater, and the glaze breaks differently on those lines, and it creates a slightly different effect. Yeah. It is, and they're hand sprayed, and you'll see on some of the tiles, they'll almost look like they're going underwater because some of the line will disappear under heavier glaze. It's really beautiful in person. So,
I love that. Again, one of my favorite things about Pratt Larson is this scalability, but also the way that it feels so handmade in a way that it's wonderfully consistent, if that makes sense. That, like, you've balanced the production with making it still feel artisanal, and I think that's really lovely.
Yeah.
So I want to say thank you, Arthur, and also designers. You should reach out to him right now and get samples because, like I said, it is a natural product, and having those samples in hand are really helpful. You can also reach out to Arthur again and see about getting a tour, because the tour of the facility is amazing.
And if you don't know, because we don't know yet when we can start the tours again, but I have a list of anybody that's interested to reach out to them when we're ready.
Awesome.
So please let us know.
Do that. It's so cool to see. And designers, if you want to reach out and do another snack break, you can smash that register now button. And in the meantime, Arthur, it was great to see you.
Thank you. It's good to see you too.
And hopefully we'll be in touch soon.
Okay.
Okay, we'll see you. Bye.
Bye.